What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Talking Blue. I'm Matthew Mooney alongside Luca Langella. It's been over a week since we last filmed, but since then, a decent amount at training camp has happened. So we wanted to talk about a few disappointments and a few surprises from training camp. And to start this episode out, we want to talk about Darren Waller, who the Giants acquired this offseason in a trade where they gave up really nothing for a top five tight end in the NFL. And this has been a great move so far, and I think it will turn out to be the best addition from this offseason. What do you think about that, Luke?
Well, yeah, you've watched. I've watched some of his highlights from training camp. He's been all over making huge catches, and you look at any analyst analyzing him. He's unbelievable for his size and body control, able to high point the ball perfectly, and he's able to break a lot of tackles. So good speed for a tight end. Reading about him, everyone's raving about him. So I'm really excited to see what he could do. Once we get to the regular season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he was the big addition. All we gave up was a non-guaranteed third-round pick, and we really just traded Kadarius Toney away for him and Trey Hawkins, which was a part of the trade, the Kadarius Toney trade, the sixth-round pick, and
Yeah.
this was a huge win for us.
Well, going into that, I know, Trey Hawkins has been looking great at camp. He's had great size, great man coverage skills, and they've been talking about him and Deontay Banks are probably going to have a very big role. Obviously, we expected Deontay Banks, but no one saw Trey Hawkins. People said that he may be giving a guy like Adoree Jackson a run for the money. He's young, fresh legs, and no injuries yet, so he looks very good. It's another. If he ends up playing, that trade gets even better.
I agree with you. He was really the biggest shock that the Giants have had in the draft. And he's being it is like I've been seeing a lot of people on Twitter saying that they want to have all three of Adoree Jackson, Deontay Banks, and Trey Hawkins to be playing at the same time, which would be great. And then since other than Bobby Okereke, we don't really have like another really good linebacker. So then it would just be one linebacker, which would be Bobby Okereke, and then Trey Hawkins, Adoree Jackson. Adoree would play in the slot, and Deontay Banks, and then McCain and McKinney, and then obviously Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari on the edge. And for the defensive line, Dexter Lawrence, Ashawn Robinson, and Leonard Williams. That would be a great defense.
I would say that, but I also was reading a guy talk about it. I was disappointed with this Bobby McCain, who was actually it's been seen to lost his role to Jason Pinnock. We saw a lot of Pinnock stepping in last year for Xavier McKinney, and he did an excellent job. Making some big plays in big games, and later in the season, we needed him. We really did. Our secondary was very beat up, and Xavier McKinney obviously with the horrible ATV accident. So Pinnock stepped up and he played very well. So I've been reading a lot that he actually is taking Bobby McCain's role. So maybe you'll see Pinnock in there more than Bobby McCain.
Yeah, I never really would have thought that. I mean, obviously, Pinnock is a very good safety. And talking about Darren Waller earlier, he seemed to be the only guy at practice who could potentially cover Waller, which I know I've talked about this before on the last episode, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because Darren Waller is so good and he's going to be an absolute threat for other teams' secondaries. But the potential bad thing about it could be that if the Giants are playing a team with a superstar weapon on offense, it could be hard for them to contain him.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. We've always talked about the Giants. Tight ends have been excellent. We talked about T.J. Hockenson with the Minnesota Vikings last year. He beat up the Giants in both games. Obviously, the Giants got the best on the playoffs, but T.J. Hockenson was all over the field, and the Giants did not have an answer for him. So that's exactly where I was going with it too. It's the Giants secondaries always struggled against tight ends, so these guys need to pick it up. Tight end is a very big position in the NFL, and if it's not covered right, guys could feed off Mark Andrews having a big game in that Giants Baltimore game. Obviously, the Giants are able to rally, but you got to be able to control these very talented tight ends, which you're going to be facing this year.
You're right. Another guy I want to talk about is wide receiver out of Tennessee, Jalen Hyatt. He has exceeded all expectations so far at training camp and has been beyond insane, and I'm really excited to watch him. And he has been already compared to Tyreek Hill in speed, so hopefully this potentially means that he could be the next Tyreek Hill even better. But that might be a bit of a stretch. But what do you think about that, Luke?
Well, I don't think he's exactly the same player as Tyreek Hill. He's not.
Right.
He's obviously taller, but his speed is electrifying. He's not really a screen pass speed guy, but his down the field burners is crazy, and he's going to be a big part of the offense. In the beginning of the year, I was skeptical. They got him in the third round. We have the guys. We got Campbell. We have Cole Beasley. We have Jamison Crowder. We have Hodgson. We have Slayton. But now I see him being one of our starting receivers. I see him, Slayton, Hodgins, and Paris Campbell being our starting four now, just because Hyatt's been excellent. You watch any of the highlights, he's all over the field making some absolutely incredible catches, and he's gonna be a starting receiver for us. So he's gonna be out there making plays, and I'm really excited to see what he could do. We've always struggled with getting big plays. I really want to see him just run and go right down the field and see what he could do.
Yeah, same. And judging for the fact that the Giants have never really had a wide receiver one, I think this is a great addition. I don't know about you, Luke, but in my eyes, Jalen Hyatt is the wide receiver one of this receiving core. So what I think the Giants receiving core is going to look like for this season is Hyatt as the receiver one, Paris Campbell as the wide receiver two, playing in the slot, and then Hodgins as the wide receiver three on the other side of the field next to Waller. I think Hyatt's going to play on the left side next to Campbell. What do you think about that?
I've been reading actually that Slayton Hyatt have been rotating him but not starting. Hyatt took his roles. They had Hyatt and Hodgins playing in the same position, and actually Slayton's been receiver one so far, just because he's been the guy for 4 years now. Put up great numbers last year. Obviously, dropping is an issue, but I would say I see it more as Slayton / Hodgins, Hyatt, and Campbell in the slot. But then again, if they don't, depending on the sets they use, like let's say they don't have a tight end in a set, then yeah, I see Hodgins going in. But yeah, it's going to be those. I'd say those are going to be the guys. I don't see Crowder, Beasley, Shepard getting as many snaps.
Right. I think Crowder should mainly be used as a return man. I know I've said this a lot on the show, but I think Crowder should mainly be used as a return man. But I think he'll get a tiny bit of playing time. What do you think about that, Luke?
Yeah, we need a return man. We saw last year we put a Dory back there, and Dory got hurt. So you never want to put a quarterback back there unless you really have to. So yeah, I think Crowder, and then Cole Beasley, another guy, good depth. We have a lot of depth at receiver core, but I'm really excited to see Hyatt. I don't think he's receiver one yet. I still think Slayton holds that role, but I see him being more of like the future for the New York Giants. I really do. If he develops properly, he could be the future of the Giants receiver core.
Yes. And speaking of, you could talk.
Yeah. So one more thing about that, Paris Campbell as well. Looking at him, he's been electrifying too. So very excited to see us have a very good slot. Obviously, Shepard will be there to complement him, and Wandale hopefully in the next few weeks will come back to practice, and Wandale will be there too. But yeah, our receiver core, in my opinion, deepest receiver core in the NFL, and a talented receiver core.
Yeah, it's deep. No one really would look at the Giants receiving core and be like, "Oh wow, this would be a great receiving core to have." I mean, there's no wide receiver one. I get people thinking that it's not very good. However, where a lot of people are wrong is that the Giants receiving core has probably the most depth out of any receiving core in the NFL, or like top 3 at the very least. But it's makes up for not having a wide receiver one, because you have a lot of guys you can rotate on and off the field. I know we talked about Shepard not getting a lot of snaps, but he could potentially get some playing time with the team, and they'll switch on and off with a few guys, and a lot of them. Well,
and also just one more quick thing on Shepard. Shepard last year, before he got hurt in 2 games, he was excellent for us. Excellent. So if he plays like that and he's experienced, guys, I think this year, from what I've been reading a lot and seeing, it's going to be a lot of rotating, and obviously guys like Hyatt, Slayton, Hodgins, Campbell, I expect to get bulk of the snaps, but I do see those other 3 guys, those 4 guys getting a lot of rotating.
Yeah, I agree with you. Another thing I want to talk about is a second-year guy who's been really good at training camp, Kayvon Thibodeau, first-round pick out of Oregon. He's been exceptional, and he's been going up against Andrew Thomas in training camp, and Evan Neal got hurt, so making Matt Peart everything for him really hard. So Evan Neal went down because he had a concussion, and he's probably going to be out for at least a week if I had to guess. But you know, he's been
Yeah, I was
excellent.
watching Brian Dable's interview though, and he said Matthew Perk did a nice job, and Evan Neal is day to day, but realistically won't play in Friday's game. Don't want to push it. Obviously, it's early in the season, and he'd only be playing quarter, but he should be back by next week.
Right. I think he'll be back for week one of the preseason. So yeah, I mean Thibodeau has been going up against Andrew Thomas and has been giving him a run for his money, which I think is a very good thing because the development of Kayvon Thibodeau has been going very well, and Andrew Thomas is arguably the best offensive tackle in the NFL. So he's doing well against a great offensive tackle. Then he's potentially going to be one of the best pass rushers in the game in the next couple of years. What do you think about that?
Yeah, he could be really good for us. I want to say disappointing, but his season last year, stats weren't, they weren't crazy. Like Azeez Ojulari, who only played in a couple of games last year, had better ones. So, but I think if these two guys stay healthy, because obviously Kayvon was hurt for a few games, if these two guys stay healthy all season long, we could have the best edge in the NFL. Two young guys look at competing could be great. And talking about Andrew Thomas, we're just talking about him being one of the best left tackles. How about him not getting in the top 100? Absolutely crazy.
I agree with you. I'm really mad he didn't get in there because
one of the best tackles in the league, which is one of the most important positions in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, how do you not put him there? Like, it just makes no sense to me. Like, he was the best offensive tackle in the NFL. Okay, that might be a bit of a stretch, but at left tackle, he's top 3 in his position. What do you think about that?
He's great. Really, besides Trent Williams, I think it's him. Really, besides Trent Williams, but
I think
who knows?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Trent Williams is a little better than Andrew Thomas, but it's very close.
Yeah, and Andrew has the fresh young legs and will continue developing.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was disappointing that he didn't get in, but Saquon and Dex made it, so I guess that's good. I'm happy about that. Hopefully, a couple more guys get into the top 100 next year for the NFL. On the Giants? Who do you think will get in on the Giants next year? Who didn't make it this year?
Hopefully, DJ throws for 4,000 yards, runs for 1,000 yards, has a career season because he's getting paid like a career quarterback, and gets himself in the top 100 and gets rated at 95 in Madden next year. That's all we'd like to happen. Who knows, though? Yeah, I'd like to see a guy like Hyatt to develop into that. I'd like to see Kayvon Thibodeau develop into that. Andrew Thomas has to be in it next year. So, yeah, this team had really, the way the contracts are done, they have about 4 years to win the Super Bowl, and then most of these guys like Andrew Thomas, Daniel Jones, Dexter Lawrence, they'll be gone because or maybe not Daniel Jones, but the other two, they'll be getting older. So you got 4 years to win a Super Bowl. So it's going to be a good 4 years, I think, for the Giants. I think it's going to be a very competitive 4 years.
Yes, I do agree with you. I think this year in the playoffs, I forget if you'll agree with me on this or not, Luke, but I think we're going to fall in the NFC Championship game versus the 49ers.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to even get there. And you hate to say it after a great year. The Giants have a much better roster, but it's going to be a grind during the regular season. I felt last year was a little easy, judging about the start we had in the front. I think we sat back in the second half. We can't sit back at all this season. They're gonna have to be full throttle for all 17 weeks if they want to get into the playoffs.
You're right. They got to keep the foot on the gas all season. I get last year they didn't have a star-studded lineup. Now they do. They cannot. They got to put their foot on the gas starting week 1 Sunday Night Football, and they can't take it off.
Yeah, they have to be. Even if you don't beat Dallas, which would stink, you got to make a very good statement if you're not going to win. You have to make a statement.
Yeah, they better win. I'm going to be at week 1 versus Dallas, so hopefully they pull off a win. And I'm going to be at the first preseason game versus the Panthers. Hopefully I'll see you guys then. There'll be some content coming out. I also want to quickly talk about Jalin Hyatt again. I know we've been talking about him a lot this episode, but he has a goal for himself to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, which I think is decent. I mean, seeing everything he's done in practice, I don't know for sure if that's going to happen, but like he's been phenomenal.
Wilson won it last year. And we did post a video about quite a few interviews and about Hyatt making that statement. And then I'll be at all one games as well and be at the opener. So we'll be getting live content from there. Some things that you don't see on TV. And yeah, that's it for me. Any closing statements, Matthew?
Not really. I mean, that's it for the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video with a few friends. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Let's go, Giants.